Hello fellow human, hope you guys have a great day and let's read some r/I don't work here lady stories. To the first one. Woman wants me fired from somewhere I don't work without actually speaking to me. This takes place in a care home where I would visit an old neighbor. I will call her Ruby in this tale. Ruby was basically bedridden and often napped while she had visitors. She also had a sweet tooth and loved her ice cream. If she was sleeping when I brought ice cream for her, I had permission to use the fridge in the day room to store this. Visitors could also get themselves a drink for themselves and those they were visiting. Ruby's room door had a squeaky hinge. This plays a role. I went to visit Ruby with some ice cream. I signed the visitor's book and let myself in with the code. As I was closing the door behind me, it was tugged open by the woman in the title. She huffed and nudged past me. Ruby was sleeping, so I put my bag down and went to put the ice cream in the day room. As I passed the next room, the door opened and woman looked out and I nodded and went on my way. I chatted to one of the staff about Ruby and returned to her room. Not to make this too long over the visit, I popped in and out of Ruby's room a few times to get her ice cream, make her a cup of tea, etc. Each time I left the room, the woman would pop her head out and scowl at me. I said goodbye to Ruby at the end of my visit, and as I was signing out, the woman left the office and pointed me to the manager of the home who looked puzzled, and the woman stormed out. The manager waited until she left and then burst out laughing. The woman had just spent about 15 minutes complaining that a member of staff had ignored her, not offered her or her mother any ice cream, tea, coffee, etc., ignored her request for an update on her mother's care, and wanted the rude, uncaring, lazy person fired at once. So apparently, that was me. The person she had never said a single word to, shaking my head at that one. Well, some people want to watch the world burn, but most people just want to bring everyone down to their own miserable level for no further reason. On to the second story. Woman stops me at Walmart on my day off and I throw up on her. So, I've worked at Walmart for 3 years, and I've never experienced any of the rude customers or general craziness associated with Walmart. Well, it's my day off, and I happen to get sick to my stomach. I had already thrown up twice, so my mom decided to take me to Walmart to get the things that I need to get better. She insisted that I just stay in bed while she gets the things. But she often got the wrong things, so I decided to go get them myself. Big mistake. When we arrived, we started to get our things and tried to get out as fast as possible since I was starting to feel really bad. When we were on our way to the checkout, this woman stops us. I recognize her since she was there the day before when I was working. She started to ask me about stuff, and I have to tell her that I wasn't working today. She huffed and said, "You can still help me out. All I want to know is where the dog food is." I point at the direction of the dog food and try to get out of there because my stomach was starting to hurt. She stops me again and says, "I already looked over there. I couldn't just find it. Just come show me." My mom tells that lady that I'm sick and that I don't have time to go with her and just find somebody else to help her. She tells my mom to shut up and looks back at me and says, "It will be just a few minutes. Come on and come help me find it." My mom tells this woman to back off and leave me alone, but the woman is insistent that I help her. Just then, it feels like somebody had grabbed my stomach and started squeezing it, and I started to throw up. Unfortunately for the lady, I had been facing her and threw up all over her pants and shoes. She screamed, but it wasn't stopping and I kept going. She had backed up after I started and was screaming for a manager. My mom was holding me while I tried to stop, but the pain in my stomach was too much and I just kept going. One of the cashiers saw what was going on and immediately radioed for manager and custodian. One of the managers comes over and sees the mess and the lady's crying to him about how I puked all over her. My mom tells him that I was trying to leave, but the lady wouldn't let me. The manager takes her to the back, and the cashier, whom I'm friends with, takes me outside and sits with me while my mom goes to pay for the stuff. I honestly didn't mean to throw up on her, but as soon as it started coming up, I couldn't stop it. I feel bad for the custodian who has to clean up my throw up, and I feel bad for the lady since I hate throwing up, and I can only imagining how it feels to have someone throwing up on you. I'm also dreading the day I have to go back since I know the story is going to spread like wildfire. Surprisingly enough, the lady ended up admitting that it was her fault since she kept me there when I clearly needed to get out of there. Everything is okay now, but man, was that the most embarrassing moment of my life. Edit. Well, it's my first day back since this happened and my coworkers heard about the story, but didn't know the whole context. I told them everything that happened and they thought it was hilarious and were on my side. They said the lady was being a bad person. Well, not their words, but I'm not gonna repeat what they said, and that she deserved it. We all had good laugh about it, and it wasn't that bad. Also, the maintenance guy was off today, so I didn't have the chance to apologize to him. But I will try to make it up to him the next time we both work. Edit 2. Well, the maintenance guy works today, and I went up and apologized for the throw up, and he said it was no big deal. To make it up to him, I'm gonna take him to lunch. Everything seems to be back to normal now, so I guess I can put this incident behind me now. Last edit, I should probably specify that I am a guy. It's probably not that important. Well, don't dread your coworkers finding out about this. You achieved what a few dream of. You probably taught that woman the lesson of her life. On to the third story. The pizza place printed my phone number on their coupons. So, this happened back in 2007 or 2008. I lived in a small town and my house had a really bad cell phone coverage at the time, so I still had a landline for the house, complete with an answering machine. One day, I come home to find several phone calls for a regional pizza restaurant on my answering machine. I quickly find that they had printed these mass junk mail flyers with some pretty decent discounts and my phone number on it. It was a pretty simple mistake. My phone number was ... triple fours and 12, and theirs was 44 and 22s. I called the pizza place and told them what happened. The manager was nice and told me he had nothing to do with it, that the corporate office made them up, but he would call them and try to work out a fix. That night, I probably got 80 phone calls. I changed the outgoing message on my answering machine to give the callers the correct number. More than half of the calls I got still left me with their pizza order. Who called for pizza and expects to leave their order on an answering machine? That town has more dumb people than I thought possible. And I already had a low opinion to begin with. This went on for almost 2 weeks. I kept calling the restaurant, and the manager kept telling me that they cannot get a hold of anyone who can do anything. Finally, I'd had enough when a snowstorm blows through town and the pizza orders goes up. Snowy days seem to be busy for food delivery. I start taking orders, writing them down as accurately as I can, and forwarding them to the pizza place through the number listed on their website for home office. At the time, if you called that number after hours, the robot that answered gave you a list of extensions, and eventually, I found the one for VP Marketing. I wanted the president, but meh, close enough. Once I found the extension, I forwarded every call for them I got like this. Hello, this is OP again. I have an order for 1 extra large Goliath pizza, 1 order of cheesesteaks, and a bottle of Sprite to be delivered to John Doe at 244 High Street, Small Town. His credit card number is, insert credit card details here, and his phone number is phone number. I really hope you can help me get these people their food. This seems to be pretty inefficient. Thanks! I made at least 20 calls like that. I don't remember the exact number, but it wasn't as many as I thought it would be when I made the plan. Nevertheless, the next morning, I got a call from the company president. They paid my phone bill for a year. minus long distance, to buy my phone number from me. Honestly, they didn't need to pay my phone bill for a year, just cover the cost of changing the number, but they offered. Wow, people left their credit card numbers and their phone numbers for you? Jeez. On to the fourth story. Lady lost her mind cause I wouldn't clean her mat, part 2. Oh, and for those of you who didn't, watch part 1, you can check our previous video. So, on to the story. I just got home from the gym and thought y'all would appreciate an update. Cause holy duck balls. So me and my mom go to the gym. The moment we stepped in, I noticed something was off. For one, the owner was there at the desk talking with Mike. When Mike saw us, he waved us over. Owner, Mrs. and Miss Redacted, right? We nod. Owner, I heard from Pete, front desk kid, and Mike you had an encounter with another customer last week? Again, we nod. He signs and grabs a paper. I'm sorry that happened, but here is the issue. We don't have pictures with our IDs, so we don't know for sure who was the woman. This is a list of people who swiped in around that time Peter saw her come in. Can you tell me if you recognize her name? I take the paper but shake my head. Me, I'm sorry, but we didn't exchange names. The owner nodded. Owner, well, here's what we're going to do. Pete isn't here today, so I'm going to sit in our class. If she comes in, Mike will point her out and I'll talk to her. I promise she will not interact with either of you. Mom, well, good. I don't want her near Nancy. We all nod in agreement and head upstairs where the class was. For the first 15 minutes, everything is going well. All you could think was about the burning in my legs. Then she walks in. Same as before, she looks around the room. We lock eyes for a second, and I see her skull before she grabs a mat. Mike sees her and nods to the owner. He begins to walk over to her, but she has already got a mat and is pushing people's stuff aside. She is close to me, but she isn't pushing my stuff. My mom is playing guard dog and moved her stuff a bit forward so she couldn't look at me. He taps her shoulder and looks like he asked her to walk down with him. She turns and looks towards us, probably to glare. But like I said, there's a mother of a wall between me and her. See what I did here? The lady then marches out. I'm gonna be honest, there was a window I could see them talking through, so my workout went in the window. At first, the conversation seemed relaxed very quickly. There was yelling and pointing, at me exact. Mike turns up the music to no distract everyone else, but the die had been cast. She's screaming now and I cannot hear everything but unfair and champ. The owner seems calm, but it's clear he's over it. This continues for a bit and then Mike steps out. At this point, the whole class is watching this. Mike, she's trying to calm her down and then she's just yelling at both of them. After a few minutes, she calms down. Mike relaxes and she points inside again. Mike goes to the door, but she marches past him and back in to grab her water bottle. She leaves the mat. Surprise, surprise! She picks it up and turns to leave, then stops and marches straight up to me. Before she can get close, my mom steps between us. I love my mom, but she is 5'2" and almost 60. This lady looked older, but neither woman should be squaring off. This lady is looking at my mother, and then she looks at me. Mike and the owner have now run into the room. Owner, ma'am, it's time to leave. Entitled lady, why not her? Why just me? Owner, she isn't screaming, ma'am. Entitled lady, but it's her fault. She could have said she didn't work here. So, just a quick thing. I have anxiety, and I was freaking out at this point. I could feel the panic attack coming. Mom, walk away now. She hasn't moved, except to get in the way. Both Mike and the owner are trying really hard not to touch her, but Mike steps in front of my mom and begins heading her out the door. That's when we hear it, the sound of a slap. She has slapped Mike. Everyone is quiet. The owner regains his composure, and then it goes down. Alright, I'm calling the cops. We have your information, and you assaulted my employee. You can leave or wait for the cops, but you'll not be coming back here again. She's clearly panicked from what I can see. Mom has not moved. I'm calling my lawyer! And begins rattling off. Mike looks around. Alright guys, sorry to cut things short, but the class is over. Please clear the area and I'll take care of the gear. My mom heads me away and the lady and I locks eye. Why isn't she leaving? And then me and my mom book it. We go downstairs and my mom leaves her number in case the owner needs it. All the other members are gossiping about it as we leave. In the car, when things calm down, my panic attack took a bad turn and I have been hanging out at my parents' house till I can go home. Logically, I know it's over, but still, I hope I won't see that lady ever again. My mom and I have been talking about this, and we are pretty sure she had some mental issues. I work with students with behavior problems as a tutor, and her behavior/thought process was similar in my perspective. Just a hypothesis. So glad the gym supported you in this and getting rid of her. That's it for today, fellow humans. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.